Hello and welcome back to Vision Economics Academy. This is Sir Sivankar and today we are understanding the concept of elasticity of demand, which is a very important concept of economics. This comes under microeconomics. As far as CBSE is concerned, it is in class 11. For ISC, it's in class 12. The word elasticity basically refers to the reaction or how responsive the things are. Usually when we stretch a rubber, the more we apply the force, the greater it will stretch. So again, there would be some rubber which would stretch less. There would be some which at the same force would stretch more. Now that depends or that shows how elastic it is. So in a similar way, in economics also, how does the consumer react or respond to the change in various factors that affects demand? Alright, so that is studied under elasticity of demand. So elasticity of demand is the percentage change in demand of a commodity with respect to the change in any of the factors affecting demand for the commodity. So with the change in any of the factors, that would be income, price, price of the relative goods, etc., how does the change in those things affect the demand of a commodity? Alright, so that is elasticity of demand. But mainly when we say elasticity of demand, we mean price elasticity of demand. Until and unless they have specifically mentioned as something as cross elasticity of demand or income elasticity of demand, until and unless it's mentioned those, it always means price elasticity of demand. So if it's simply written as elasticity of demand or elasticity or price elasticity, it would mean same until and unless it is specifically mentioned. Okay, so elasticity of demand both means price elasticity of demand until and unless specifically cross elasticity or income elasticity is mentioned. Okay, so price elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of the demand for the commodity with respect to change in the price. All right, the simple formula is the percentage change in quantity demanded with respect to percentage change in price. It's pretty simple, right? So percentage change in quantity demanded with respect to percentage change in price. Now change in Q by Q into 100 divided by change in P by P into 100. We can write like this. Yes. So whatever the response is with respect to the change in price in the demand of a commodity, that is elasticity of demand or the price elasticity of demand. So there are two methods through which we can see the elasticity. Alright. Okay, so let us first see the percentage method, and from there only we will derive the proportionate method. Elasticity of demand equals to percentage change in quantity demanded, that is change in Q by Q into 100 by change in P by P into 100. Same thing, the percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in price. Right, the 100 gets cancelled, then we get change in Q by Q divided by change in P by P. Now keeping the relative change, the rate of change in one side, that is change in Q by change in P in one side, and we keep the relative price which was there before at one side, or sorry, the relative price and quantity which was there before in one side, change in P by Q. Okay, so here we get the proportionate method formula. Alright, so it's pretty simple. Percentage method, it is simply percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in price. Then from there we can write like this on this, or we can say the second step is this: the 100 gets cancelled, this remains. Third step, and then we keep the change in, or the rate of change in one side, and the relative values in one side. Then we get this formula of the proportionate method. Now it depends, while doing the numericals, it depends as to which formula you would use. It's upon your discretion. I generally, when the question is given in percentage, it'll be easier for me to write the percentage formula and do it directly. And when it's given in the values, I usually use the proportionate method. It all depends. You can use any of these. Okay, it's your discretion. Now the two examples that we can see here is that first example says calculate price elasticity of demand if demand increases from 4 to 5 units. So the change in demand is Q1 minus Q, Q1 being the new, Q being the initial. Alright, so the new is 5 minus 4, that is 1. The change in quantity is 1. The change in price is P1 minus P. Alright, so the new price is 8 and the old price is 10, that is minus 2. Now let us do it from the percentage method only. So 1 by the initial one is 4 into 100. In a similar way, minus 2 by 10 into 100. So this gives us 25% here and 20%. So 25 by 20 will give us 1.25. So elasticity of demand is 1.25. Okay, so if the elasticity is greater than 1, that means it's highly elastic, so the response is higher. Then the next example we'll try, that is when the price rises from 8 to 10. So the change in price is P1 minus P. So the new price is 10 minus the old price 2. Okay, now the demand falls from 5 to 4. So 4 is the initial, 4 is the new one, minus 5, that is minus 1. Now the thing here is that the change in quantity is 1 here as well. The change in price is 2 over here. In a similar way, in the last example, the quantity changes was 1 here and the price changes was 2. But you see, the elasticity will be different. Now elasticity of demand equals to change in Q by Q into 100 by change in P by P into 100, that is percentage change in quantity, that is 1 by 5 into 100. The change in price is 2 by the initial price is 8 into 100. So 20, 25. So 20% by 25%, that is minus 0.8. Okay, so the elasticity of demand is minus 0.8. But here, like in this example, the change in price was minus and it would also have come in minus, the answer, but the minus sign doesn't matter. We only take the absolute values. because elasticity is only showing us the responsiveness or the magnitude of the change. It's not showing us the direction of the change. So we only take the absolute values. All right, so elasticity is 0.8, which is less than 1. That means it's less elastic. Now in both the examples, the changes in quantity is 1 and the price is 2, right? But in the first example, the price is falling from 10 to 8. In this, the price is rising from 8 to 10. All right, and the demand is falling from 5 to 4. And in the other example, demand was increasing from 4 to 5. Now that brings us to the important observations. First of all, we only take the absolute value. Okay, the second is elasticity is affected by percentage change. Okay, so these are the two important observations that we can observe from these two examples that we just did. All right, so quickly moving on to the relationship between price elasticity of demand and total expenditure. Now it's pretty simple. When there is opposite relation between the price and total expenditure, then it is highly elastic. Okay, then it is highly elastic. So when there is opposite the relationship between the two, right, then let's give one example. Quantity, price 5 and 4. The quantity at 5 was taken 100, at 4 is 140. So the total expenditure here is 500 and here it is 560, right? So the price is falling and the total expenditure is increasing, so it's a highly elastic, right? Then when the price increases or decreases but the total expenditure remains constant. Okay, like for example, price and quantity, price is 5 has reduced to 4, quantity 100 and 125, total expenditure is same 500 and 500. That means your price increases or decreases, your total expenditure remains constant. That is unitary elastic. And when the price and quantity move in the same direction, all right, so if the price falls from 5 to 4, quantity demanded is 100 and 120. The total expenditure is 500 over here and this is 480. So here the price is falling and total expenditure is also falling, so it is less elastic. Okay, so that is the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and the total expenditure. Now there are 5 degrees of elasticity of demand. First is perfectly elastic. Now it's a theoretical concept. It is not possible in a real life. So what perfectly elastic of demand says that with there is, at a particular price there is infinite change in the demand, right? And the demand can also become suddenly zero if there is a slight rise in the price. For example, the price is 20, 20, 20. The quantity demanded keeps on increasing from 10 to 20 to 30 and all. So this is at a particular price, it keeps on increasing, and if there is a certain rise in the price, then the quantity might become zero as well. So that is a theoretical concept, however. So the diagram would be somewhat like this. So elasticity of demand is equal to infinity. This is the price, this is the quantity, OP is the price, and at the price OP, any quantity Q, Q1, Q2, any quantity might be demanded, right? Then second one is perfectly inelastic, wherein no matter how much the price is changing, the quantity demanded will remain same. Okay, so that is represented by, like the perfectly elastic is represented by a horizontal line, the perfectly inelastic is represented by the vertical line. Okay, so at any price P, P1, P0, okay, the same quantity is demanded. So these two both are the theoretical aspect, whereas the next one, the third one, is the highly elastic demand. Okay, wherein with a slight change in the price, or there is more responsiveness in the quantity demanded than the proportion change in the price. So for example, price is let's say 20 to 10. All right, the quantity demanded has become from 100 to 200. Now if you see here, the change in the percentage change in the price is just 50%, but in the quantity that is 100%. So it is highly elastic. The diagram would be flatter curve, which represents the highly elastic demand. Here you can see it's quantity demanded. Now if you can see here, at price OP, OQ is demanded, and at price, let's say OP1, OQ1 is demanded. So with the little fall in the price, see how much the quantity has increased. So it is highly elastic. Number 4 is less elastic. Let's say the price has become from 20 to 10. The quantity is increased from 100 to 120. Now again, if you see, there's a 50% change in the price, but here only 20%. So it is less elastic. The diagram would be steeper curve. Y X at initial OP, OQ is demanded. Okay, but if the price falls to OP1, OQ1 is demanded. So with this much fall in the price, the quantity has only increased by this much. So obviously we can see that it is less elastic. And the final one, it is unitary elastic, wherein the price is changing from 20 to 10 and quantity demanded is from 100 to 150. Here price also changes by 50%, quantity also changes by 50%. That means there's proportional change. So the curve will be rectangular hyperbola. Here you can see at OP, OQ is demanded, and at OP1, OQ1 is demanded. So it's the similar change, right? So this is the unitary elastic demand. One thing to note is that the flatter the curve, more is the elasticity, right? Simple as this. If you see this diagram, let us take this flatter demand curve. At price OP, OQ is demanded, right? Now let us make a steeper demand curve. Okay, now in a steeper demand curve, now you can see at price OP1, in a flatter demand curve, OQ1 is demanded. That means this much of change in the price led to this much of change in quantity. Now if we take into consideration the steeper curve, at OP, OQ2 is demanded. If the change in price to OP1, see, only this much of change is there, right? So what we can know from here is that the flatter the curve, more is the elasticity. The steeper the curve, the less is the elasticity. With the same change in the price, previously the quantity changed from Q to Q1, but with the same change in the price with respect to the steeper curve, the quantity demanded only changed from Q2 to Q3. Alright, so lastly, there are some factors that affects, there are factors that affects the elasticity of demand. These are, first of all, the nature of the commodity. If the commodity is a necessary good, then obviously the elasticity will be less. The comfort goods like fan, AC and all, it will have high elasticity because the customer can always postpone. How much of substitute is available, that also defines or affects the elasticity. If there are close substitutes, then the elasticity will be very high, and if there is no close substitute, then obviously elasticity will be less, right? The income level, another one. So it's generally the elasticity of demand is lower for higher income groups, because for them a little change in the price does not matter much, as compared to the lower income groups whose elasticity is very high. If there is a slight change in the price, also their budget can get affected, right? So there are number of things that we can think of, like time period, the share in the total expenditure, the level of price also affects the price elasticity of demand. Costly goods are have high elasticity, as their demand can be very sensitive to the change. However, inexpensive goods like needles, matches that we see, we've been seeing price of a matchbox as ₹1 right from my childhood, and now it has become ₹2. The change is 100%, but has it changed the demand? No, because the price level is really low. It's a very cheap good. Same thing with the needle. So again, the elasticity of demand depends on number of factors, like we talk about: nature of the goods, the availability of the substitutes, income of the people, level of price, and apart from that, there are number of uses the goods are used in, share in the total expenditure, etc., that we all know about, right? So this brings us into the theory part of the elasticity of demand. In the next episode, I will be solving the unsolved practicals from the book Sandeep Garg of the portion Elasticity of Demand. Till then, be healthy, be safe, happy Dussehra, and see you in the next video. Thank you.